Tyrone Nance, founder and CEO of It's Bigger Than Us LA, which is a nonprofit that does community activation centered in holistic health equity. And we do that food justice program, which we have multiple food resource and service providers distributions per week.
Every Sunday at 4 o'clock, they pass out food and groceries. Every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, they pass out groceries. I'll be there tomorrow. I'll be the first one in line. Fresh green beans, broccoli, corn. I don't eat canned vegetables. I like fresh. So there's a lot of that around here too.
It's become more ethnically African American over the period of time that it came here. Maybe 30 to 40% Black, and now it's about 90.
Over here is struggling with mental illness. It'd be nice if they had some kind of response team that could respond to them. When I got cancer of all kind, if I see somebody out there and I got a stockpile of that.
Mental health has always been very taboo. I used to get teased or about having just therapy regularly. It always used to be deemed as something wrong. And so now it's being adopted a lot more. There's wellness clinics now that are free for the community.
A place where we have food that's readily accessible. We had that at one time, a grocery store, where we have a pharmacy that's in the neighborhood, where you have the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, all in one community, and that's what makes a healthy community to me. And we don't have some of those elements that are missing out.
Health and wellness in the community of South LA has to be sort of contextualized around being underserved and then under-resourced, and then the economic financial framework as well has to be sort of put in there, and then the systematic disadvantages of being people of color, whether Black, brown, indigenous, queer. The foundation of wellness is like there now, but there's not a lot of resources supporting that.
When we got on the block, there was no health and wellness outlet at all. Honestly, I've always, just like with everybody else, I had a love affair with Lamont. You know, when I was in, my early and late 20s, I used to come here because they had drummers and, I was attracted to the culture. That did, outside of this, everything was gang territory. Back in the 80s, Bloods, Crips. So here was a neutral zone, and it was culture.
Made it worse by bringing in crack and aggravating the gang system to make it where they fought amongst each other. Taking kids out of foster care, putting them in jail, and then dumping them in our community. Not dumping them, but letting them stay in these communities in a way where it ends up being a symbol of what our problem is, as opposed to something that was generated by the state.
Let's say if something social justice happened in the community, what they'll do is create another department, another wing to address it. The problem with that is it's still within the same system. There's only so much the county can do because they're still a part of the systemic structure. And that's always gonna be the problem. Not a deal breaker, but it's just something to recognize. And
having them navigate the healthcare system, especially to a population that has a lower health literacy level. It's hard for them to get an appointment, follow through with their labs, and definitely trying to get them to go get their referrals, see specialists. Here in South Central, this is a food desert. And so a lot of our patients, like say our diabetics, they don't have access to healthy foods, big grocery stores.
People of color, they don't go to the doctors or the hospital. So when you have a surge of people actually wanting to go, it's and you don't have that framework or model to house those people. something's going to give. And so hospitals are trying to figure out how do they house more people, but people lost trust. And so I see the game breaking up. Like a lot of the bigger institutions are going to start having to collaborate and subcontract and partner more with community-based orgs, community leaders, businesses, physicians, private clinics to be able to fill those needs. So that's going to be one of the biggest ones. And so I think the power dynamic and struggle and that's where they're going to have to learn how to work with bipartisan, work with community-based orgs, leaders, different folks that have smaller buckets to be able to reach them, because that's where the people are at. The people are over here, they're over here. And so there's a big dynamic, and the youth see right through that. Definitely think about the youth and our elders and unhoused folks a lot these days, because they are not on the power dynamic end. And I think our jobs and the jobs now is going to have a lot of advocacy lens into it, a lot of how are we caring for humanity component in it.
You know, I think it's everybody within this zip code and the surrounding zip codes is to develop things that they need locally that will sustain them.
I think Tyrone and all of our teams that we're finally, I think we're getting together where we have to communicate and interconnect with each other. And so I think we're doing that.
We look at schools as community centers. And so if you can go into a school and find the way to build relationships, you can sort of begin to build out the assets around the school and in the school and bring the resources that are needed. We need more teachers, trainers, physicians, doctors, assistants, like physicians assistants. Like we need every single aspect of that.